Yep, that's right, lovely people. We are talking about Frankenstein and feminism. When I first started reading Frankenstein, it was brought to my attention that Mary Shelley's mother was kind of a big deal in the world of feminism. And I must admit, I was a little confused as to how the daughter of this feminist icon could be writing a story that's essentially about a man who creates another man and then sulks about it. You know. I began reading this book with the vague knowledge that it was 200 years ago and women were like oppressed and it was bad. But I didn't really know much more than that, all the specifics, so I did a bit of research. Let me introduce you to my new BFF, context. The year is 1818. Everyone's really excited and equally freaking out about this new thing called electricity. There is steam-powered everything, so transport is becoming a lot faster. America and Britain are having issues. What's new? Mary Shelley published this book. Jane Austen just died, and 2 of her novels are about to be published posthumously. Ladies have 3 jobs: get a husband, have children, look after the house. Being a spinster is the worst thing possible. Education is not sexy and not an option for women. Women have very few rights. They can't vote, they can't testify in court, and they are still considered property of their husbands or fathers, and generally considered weak, inferior, and incapable of rational thought because of their delicate little lady brains. Women are not welcome in the public sphere and are generally housebound. Sounds great. So the story itself is set in the late 1700s and is told in a series of letters from an Arctic explorer to his sister. The Arctic explorer finds Frankenstein on his travels and listens to his story. Frankenstein grew up with a couple of brothers and a cousin/adoptive sister in Geneva, Switzerland. His mother dies just before he's about to go off to uni, and Frankenstein becomes obsessed with finding the elixir of life. He does so with the help of electricity. He then creates a being, brings it to life, freaks out, has a mental breakdown, and runs away. The story continues on. You get to hear from the monster side, and it doesn't end well for anyone, really. It's considered a capital R romantic story because the plot is ruled by nature, thoughts, and feelings, and Frankenstein talks a lot about his feelings. Great, now you're all caught up and I can talk to you about some of these ideas that I've been having in my brain. I'm going to talk to you about a few, which is emotional labor and rational thought. So mild spoilers ahead, timestamps down below, let's get into it. What stood out to me the most when I was reading Frankenstein was the amount of emotional labor that women have to do. I'm going to pause here real quick for a refresher on what emotional labor is. So it's essentially changing your behavior to manage the emotions of people around you. Think customer service and putting on that cheer even when you're dead inside. Think about how women are expected to smile in public and to strangers. Think about that one friend who always texts you on your birthday without looking at Facebook. Think about that other friend who's always sober on a night out so that she can look after all your drunk friends. It's even me putting on a bit of concealer on this pimple so that I don't make you uncomfortable with my physical imperfections. It's all emotional labor. Now, as you've probably guessed, emotional labor is incredibly gendered and has been so for a long time. Back to the book. It's kind of crazy, and I think this stood out to me because this is a capital R romantic novel. The emotions of the characters are really in the forefront of the story, and Frankenstein seems out of control of his emotions the whole way through and constantly looks to the ladies to help manage his emotions. What I found even more messed up was how often beauty and emotional labor were connected within the novel. For example, when Victor Frankenstein's mother dies, it's Elizabeth's job to help support the grieving family. She's not allowed to grieve herself. Victor says, "She consoled me, amused her uncle, instructed my brothers, and I never beheld her so enchanting as at this time, when she was continually endeavouring to contribute to the happiness of others, entirely forgetful of herself." And later in the novel, when Victor is really melancholy, "Elizabeth alone had the power to draw me from these fits. Her gentle voice would soothe me when transported by passion, and inspire me with human feelings when sunk in torpor." So what if Mary Shelley, in her own clever way, is giving us a cautionary tale on what happens when you neglect emotional labor? Hear me out. Frankenstein is obsessed with creating life, which is essentially the woman's role in this society. But when he does create that life, he refuses to perform any of the duties a life giver is supposed to perform. Frankenstein flat out refuses to perform any of the emotional work towards his creation, and the monster credits this as to why he turned evil. I am thy creature, and I will be even mild and docile to my natural lord and king, if thou wilt also perform thy part, which thou owest me. And later, oh, you're gonna love this. This is the icing on the cake, guys. The monster frames Justine out of rage because, get this, she will never smile at him. Here, I thought, is one of those whose smiles are bestowed on all but me. I mean the poor boy, you know, but that's totally a legitimate reason to frame someone for murder. The mind boggles. What? Let's talk about how Mary Shelley gives this most beautiful and perfect FU to society in this novel, because it's so perfect and you're going to love it. So in this novel, Mary Shelley effectively disproves some facts about women at this time, which is namely that women are incapable of rational thought. Let's jump in. In the story, Justine is framed for the murder of a young boy. And despite the fact that she is not legally allowed to testify in court, Mary Shelley gives her this insightful and well-reasoned and rational monologue about what actually happened. Not only that, but Elizabeth also comes forward, and despite the fact that she is female, not legally allowed to testify or give evidence in court, she too is given this beautiful, well-reasoned, eloquent, rational monologue. It's great. This is the most that women talk in this book, and it's no coincidence that they are described as solemn and tranquil and confident. But I've saved the best to last, my friends. My favourite part could easily have been missed by modern readers, but it is the biggest middle finger that Mary Shelley could ever have written to this society. It's so perfect. And it happens when, spoilers, Frankenstein refuses to make a female companion for his monster. Listen closely. And I was now about to form another being, of whose dispositions I alike ignorant. She might become 10,000 times more malignant than her mate, and delight, for its own sake, in murder and wretchedness. She, who in all probability was to become a thinking and reasoning animal, might refuse to comply with a compact made before her creation. She might quit him. This is fantastic, don't you see? Frankenstein destroys this female creation because essentially she will be able to think for herself, have physical power, and essentially independence. Like, she will be uncontrollable. Anything could happen. She could leave her husband. She could do whatever she wanted to. She could go wherever she wanted to without any repercussions because she's strong and independent and can think for herself. Like, how crazy is that? It's amazing. Remember, at this time, women were essentially possessions. Like, they were owned by their father or by their husband. There was no independence. Women were not allowed into public spaces. They could do nothing but, it's just so good. Here, not only is Mary Shelley saying that women can be rational human beings, but that they are equal in their capacity to be rational, that they are equal in their power and equal in their independence. Frankenstein's greatest fear is the equality of this union, and that's what makes it so dangerous. It's perfect. I have more thoughts, but I think we're just gonna leave it there for now. Let me know down below if you have read Frankenstein and what you thought of it. I am so curious and I just want to talk about it with people because it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Let me know what you thought of my analysis of Frankenstein. I have no qualifications in literature. I literally just had some thoughts, highlighted some quotes, and Wikipedia'd some definitions, so anyway, I hope you guys like this video, and until next time, bye.